to the Loco Files. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at the Caledonian Railway Cardean class. The Caledonian Railway Cardean class was comprised of two different classes, the 49 and the 903. These were 460 express passenger locomotives designed by John F. Mackintosh and built at the Caledonian Railway's own St Rollox works in 1903 and 1906 respectively, so both are going to be covered in this episode. In 1903, the Caledonian Railway had no passenger locomotives larger than a 440, and the heaviest trains over its main line between Glasgow and Carlisle required to be double-headed, even in the less demanding southbound direction. Northbound trains also required banking assistance on the climb to Beatuck Summit. In an attempt to avoid this, Mackintosh designed a large 460 based on his Dun Alastair series of 440s. Two locomotives were built in 1903 and immediately became the Caledonian's flagship locomotives. However, their performance did not live up to expectations, and it was soon clear that the banking assistance was still required over Beatuck. Until 1906, the Caledonian Railway had no turntables long enough to turn the 49 class, and arrangements for them to turn included the use of the Cathcart circle or turning the locomotive and tender separately. By 1906, based on his experiences with the 49 class, Mackintosh designed an improved version, and the installation of new turntables at major engine sheds presaged the arrival of 5 new locomotives. The first of these, number 903, was named Cardean, after the country estate of one of the Caledonian's directors, and immediately became the company's new flagship locomotive, with its name becoming a nickname for the entire class. The Caledonian gave the new locomotives a great deal of publicity, and Cardean thus achieved some fame. Even so, the performance of the 903s was still fairly unremarkable. Neither of the class was equipped with superheating when built, but all 7 locomotives were rebuilt with a Schmidt superheater and new cylinders during 1911. These modifications reduced coal consumption, but had a limited impact on the locomotive's performance, and Mackintosh built no more 460s. His successor, William Pickersgill, had no greater success with his sluggish outside cylinder 60 class, and the disastrous 3-cylinder 956 class. So the Caledonian just continued to rely heavily upon 440s for express passenger traffic until the grouping in 1923. One 903 class was withdrawn in 1915 due to accident damage, but the other 6 locomotives passed into London, Midland and Scottish Railway ownership in 1923. The two 49 class locomotives were extensively renewed around 1924, with new frames and cylinders. But all the Caledonian's 460s were quickly eclipsed by new LMS compound 440s and the Royal Scots. The 4 surviving 903s were withdrawn between 1927 and 1930, whilst the two 49 class members lasted until 1933 and all were scrapped. We'll now cover some of the accidents and incidents involving members of the class. On the 2nd of April 1909, locomotive number 903 Cardean was hauling a passenger train that became divided and derailed at Crawford in Lanarkshire due to the failure of the crank axle of the locomotive, with some passengers suffering from minor injuries. On the 22nd of May 1915, locomotive number 907 was hauling one of the trains involved in Britain's worst ever railway accident, the double collision and fire at Quinton's Hill, Dumfries and Galloway, in which at least 226 people were killed. The locomotive was taken to St. Rollox to be repaired, but due to the extent of the damage, its rebuilding was abandoned and 907 was scrapped on the spot. I would like to thank you all for watching and listening. If you liked it, feel free to hit the like button. Feel free to share your opinions on the Cardeans. Do you think any could have made it into preservation? Or is that just a stovepipe dream? And yeah, if you really liked what you saw today and want to see what ends up being covered on the show next, feel free to subscribe. Thank you, and goodbye.